Hello everybody, welcome back to another Mystic Islands video. Sorry about not uploading for a few days. I feel like I say that every time. It wasn't this long this time, it's just because my throat was hurting a little bit, so didn't really feel like talking on camera, but I am feeling fine now. Today I'm going over a 51 card deck. This is basically like a theme deck, like the Drunken Dwarf one. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these because I have a lot of decks made that me, my friends, my neighbors, and other people that play the game have created. And I definitely want to share those. If you have any decks that you've created, you can DM me on Instagram at Mystic Islands TCG and give me the deck list and give me the main way to win with that deck, and I will definitely make a video and shout you out. But today we're going over a skeleton deck for the most part. There's a few mage cards thrown in there, but it is mostly skeleton. So we're going to call it the Kill Skellys deck. Essentially it's called that because all you want to do is kill your own skeletons. And it sounds counterintuitive, but essentially with the cards I'll show you right now, the more skeletons you kill, the more powerful your deck will be. So this time we'll start a little different. We're going to start off with the boss creatures of the deck. So essentially, right here, you have Aged Skeleton Soldier, cost 5. His attack and defense are X's. Now essentially, what that means is it says this creature's attack and defense are equal to the amount of skeleton faction creatures in your graveyard, the limit of 7. So if you have 7 dead skeletons in your graveyard, he is a 7 attack, 7 defense as soon as you cast him. And essentially you could play this guy earlier too for 5. So you could play him, maybe you have 2 guys in the graveyard, so you play him for 5, and he's only going to be a 2 attack, 2 defense. But every time a skeleton dies, he's going to get 1 attack, 1 defense bigger with a limit of 7. So he can become a 2-2, then you kill one, then he's a 3-3, then you kill another one, he's a 4-4. You just got to protect him and make sure he doesn't get bloodthirsty or fireballed, because then he's going to be dead, and then one of your most powerful guys in the deck is going to be gone. So of course we're running 2 copies of him. Rares, you can run a max of 2 copies of the same name, so we're definitely going to run 2 copies of him. Pretty sweet. The next boss card in the deck is Colossal Bonebreaker. Definitely a fan favorite card. Everyone loves this guy's artwork. Girlfriend did a great job on it. It costs 7 attack, 6 defense, so it seems a bit underpowered, but he is very good because his ability says every Clumsy Bones creature in your graveyard counts as 1 chaos crystal towards casting this card. When this creature dies, banish it. So essentially that means this card right here, Clumsy Bones, for every one of these that's in your graveyard, he costs 1 less crystal to cast. So let's say you can run up to 4 because he's a common. So we're going to run 4 Clumsy Bones. If all 4 are in the graveyard, 7 minus 4, you only have to pay 3 for a Colossal Bonebreaker. And of course we're going to run 2 copies of him. So that would be really sweet. That's essentially your bosses in this deck. Moving on with Clumsy Bones, essentially all he does is he's a 1 attack, 4 defense creature with the decay skill, meaning he loses 1 health permanently for every turn on the battlefield. So he's essentially just going to die very quickly. Another card similar to this is Struggling Scout. Cost 1 attack, 2 defense. He's untapped, so he comes out ready to attack or block, which could be useful in certain situations, and he also has decay. So he loses 1 health permanently every time he's on the battlefield. Every turn, sorry. And we're actually going to run 2 copies of him as well. And this guy, you're thinking, this guy's not a skeleton, what's he doing in the deck? Well, because he is actually very, very useful. Civil Centaur costs 3 attack, 4 defense, good stats anyway. But every round, draw a card and discard a card. Now essentially this is very powerful for the skeleton deck because you're going to be drawing cards, which is good, so you're going to be getting more skeletons, but you're discarding a card for free as well, because normally you cannot just discard cards whenever you want. So this lets you just kill your skeletons instead of casting them, so you're essentially saving crystals by just killing your creatures which you want to kill anyway. So for any other deck this might suck a little bit, but for the skeleton deck in particular, it's very, very good. And it says, as a bonus, if when you use this ability, you draw another Civil Centaur, you gain 3 health. I'm going to run 3 copies, very important to max him out at 3 copies. From there we'll just branch on to the neutral faction because why not? We're going to run 1 Restful Grizzly right here. When casted, gain 1 health for every neutral faction on the battlefield, including him. That's good. Going to run Mystical Aegean Dragon, cost 1 attack, 3 defense. When this creature is killed, gain 3 health and put it at the bottom of your deck instead of putting it in your graveyard. So this card, we're maxing it out at 2. It's a rare. Very, very useful card, especially because it only costs 1 attack, 3 defense. It's huge. It's pretty awesome. Basically, any deck that I show you guys can run this card. I probably just didn't have it in there because I don't have enough copies of it. But it is essentially a staple card in this game. One of the very few staple cards. And then of course we need our forbidden spell. All this card essentially does is target ability card has no effect and is destroyed. It is a counter to any spell essentially, or ability card they're called in this game. So we're going to run 4 copies. We're going to come back to a few more skeletons here. Skeleton Arrowist. Cost 2, 3 attack, 1 defense. When this creature dies, add a crystal to your stash. So essentially this guy's very good, especially if your opponent has maybe a 3 attack, 3 defense guy out. You might just want to play a skeleton that has enough power to kill it. And even when it kills it, you get resources back for that. So it's very good. We're going to run 3. Probably could max it out at 4 if you like, but just to slim the deck down a little bit, we are running 3. Very good card though. You also have Undead Mummy Spaz. Now this guy's a little bit unique because he costs 3, 4 attack, 2 defense. It's pretty standard, but it says you may cast this creature for 2 crystals instead if a skeleton faction creature entered the graveyard this turn. So essentially, let's say maybe you discarded a skeleton creature this turn that counts as them dying, or your opponent kills one of your creatures through an ability, or you attack a creature and get your own guy killed for your turn. You can play this guy for 2 crystals instead of 3, so you're essentially saving a crystal. Can't go wrong with that. We're going to run 3 copies max of him. Very good. We also have Undead Collector, just 1 copy of this card. Cost 4. It's very situational, so that's why we only have 1 copy in there. This is only really super useful if your opponent has skeletons in their deck as well. If you're playing like a game of maybe 4 people and they're all running skeletons, this card would be very, very, very good. But essentially what it does is, for as long as this ability is on the battlefield, your opponent's creatures that are killed go into your graveyard instead. This card takes all of their creatures in their graveyard and puts it in your graveyard. So it can be very useful, obviously, if they have a bunch of skeletons. I mean, essentially, if you think about it, let's say they have 3 Clumsy Bones in their graveyard, you have 4 Clumsy Bones in yours, you play this, you can essentially play Colossal Bone Breaker for free, but it would obviously take a lot of work to set up, and very situational though. Essentially we have some filler skeleton cards here. Cost 2, 2 attack, 3 defense. When casted, draw a card. If that card is a skeleton faction creature, gain health equal to its worth. So let's say you draw a card, it has 2 for its worth, you gain 2 health. But if you draw a Colossal Bone Breaker, it'll have 7 worth. So you could gain 7 health from that. So this is very good. We're running 3 copies. You also have Skeleton Rogue, cost 2, 3 attack, 2 defense. Can pay 1 while he's out to kill him and gain 2 health if you need to. You're going to run 3 copies. Scarce Land Scavenger is pretty important. He costs 4, 4 attack, 4 defense. Can pay 2 while he's out. This creature is killed. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, target skeleton faction creature, on the battlefield until it dies. It's a good way if you need to get your creature a little bit bigger. It's kind of an expensive way to do it, but it might be worth it in the long run. We have Skeleton Warrior running 4 copies, 1 attack, 1 defense, but he has Obstruct, meaning when he is blocking, he does not let any damage bleed over into your health, so he's just very good right there. We're also running Lost Bone Man, 4 copies of him. He literally does nothing, he's just a 1 attack, 1 defense, but since he's a skeleton, he counts as skeleton faction, obviously, so he's good to just have in this deck to get rid of and kill off quick. The last section here is some of the Mage cards, and then we have the leader, which I'll show you. But right here, we have Supreme Spellcaster, cost 6, 6 attack, 7 defense. For as long as his creature's on the battlefield, all Mage ability cards you play cost 1 less Chaos Crystal, as long as they cost 3 or more. Essentially, all this is for is to set up our 3 copies of Fireball, if we need them, and it just deals 4 damage to target creature, and it cannot be countered, so it costs 3. So it's just a little bit of removal, and essentially what the Supreme Spellcaster does is makes those cards cost 2 instead of 3. And then just in case we're falling behind, because this deck does take a while to get going, but once it does, it's very good. We are running 3 copies of Wizard Outcast, just an untapped 3/3. Quick guy, gets out there ready to attack or block. Good way to change the momentum a little bit. And then a very, very good card is Death Reaper. Leader, costs 6 crystals or 8 health. He has 10 health by himself. And you can tap him to give target creature the decay skill, target skeleton faction creature. So essentially you could put that on your creature, it'll kill him, and put him in your graveyard just how you want him. Or you could put this on your opponent's skeleton creature and just kill them, kill their powerful ones, which would be really sweet. You can also pay 2, search your deck for skeleton faction creature, put it in your hand, and shuffle your deck. Literally can't go wrong with that. It's kind of worth it sometimes to give up a turn to get the thing you need to win the game later on. And then you could also sacrifice him to gain 10 health. So once you used up his 9 health, used up to 9 of his health, he'll still be alive on 1. Then you can sacrifice him for 10 health, and it's kind of like you're double dipping there. It's kind of a really good ability, so we're going to see if he ever gets reprinted and changed a little bit, but he is definitely a beastly leader. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this deck profile. I really appreciate everyone watching this far. Again, this was mostly a skeleton based deck. You could essentially make this deck without any of the mage cards. You don't need them, but they're just thrown in there just for a little bit of help on removal and stuff like that, because when you don't have any removal, it's a little bit tougher to win depending on your playstyle. I like to use removal, so that's why I threw some in there, but you definitely don't have to. There's ways to get around it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram and check out my website. I have a ban list up there. I'm going to make a video on that. There's one card that's limited, not fully banned in set 1, and I'll be going over that soon. But thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys in the next one. Peace out.